Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Bibbs Corner podcast. I am your host, as always, Mike Bibbins, at Bibbs Corner for the sports stuff, at Bibbs Film for the movie stuff, and at MBibbs is my personal account. As I've mentioned on the past couple of podcasts, I'm going to start doing individual episodes for movies as I watch them. And this is going to be the first entry of that type. And it's a controversial one. So, before the movie was even released, Cuties was making noise. It was Netflix who decided how to promote this movie. And they put out an image that was questionable at best. And raised a few eyebrows because it seemed to be glorifying the sexualization of younger girls. And so people ran with it. They harassed the director off Twitter completely. She went private on Instagram. And, this is her first movie, and it was looking pretty rough for her. They tried to bully Netflix into getting rid of the movie. Netflix instead apologized by phone, apparently, to the director for the marketing materials they released. They put out different materials, different images, and they stayed committed to releasing the film. And they did. And once they released it, things continued to get worse. It was a Sundance Sweetheart, had a ridiculously high rating coming out of Sundance. Most of the critics were in defense of it, despite the controversy. But a lot of hyper right-wing circles got a hold of it, created a huge campaign, cancel Netflix, etc. and so forth. It blew up all over the internet, has been pretty strong, going strong for like 2 weeks now, since the movie released. And when I go on IMDb, I see it has a 2.6 out of 10 rating, which is indicative of just a lot of people dumping bad ratings on it. When you go to Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter rating is certified critics. So people that have applied to be official critics on Rotten Tomatoes and been approved by their readers, and they have the rating at an 85%. However, the audience rating, which is anybody can go in and make a rating, is at 14%. Just to tell you how big a gap there is, and just kind of the dichotomy of the critic circle and the human circle, which, as you know, I usually say that you can't pay attention to one or the other depending on the type of film. So, for example, comedies, action movies, I'm not going to listen to the critics too much. I'm going to listen to the actual people. Critics are looking for specific things. They're looking for artistic value and a story that makes sense. When in a comedy, I just want to know if you're going to make me laugh. In an action movie, I just want to know if you entertain me with the action sequences. I don't care if it's realistic, any of that stuff. So, however, in a drama, usually you want to kind of look at both. And in this case, when you have such a high rating from the regular critics and then such a low rating from the people, it's obvious there's more things at play. And it did become a political thing. So I'm looking at some of the critic ratings, and the first few, I'm reading the first few reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not going to dig too deep. So first of all, hold on. Oh, man. All right, I'm going to have to do a little bit of research, but basically, one of the reviews, and this is kind of one that I might agree with, from Gabriella Meza, says this film becomes what it tries to defeat. And I can respect that opinion. when I read some of the audience reviews, somehow the good audience reviews come up to the top. So first one, such a powerful film. The director has a strong voice, and I hope she continues making more wonderful movies such as this one. Another one, wonderful film and much needed accurate depiction of what young girls go through trying to fit in. Another person, too many people are forming an opinion of this beautiful movie based on a misguided decision of Netflix to create a salacious trailer to promote it. I did some research on the director before I sat down to watch it with an open mind, but with the director's artistic goal in mind, and I'm here to say she nailed it. And again, that is more where I kind of fall on this one. And of course, I'll get into that as we go along, but long story short, I'm going to go straight into my elevator review, and then we'll get deeper into what the movie was about and, how it got into this mess, basically. So again, elevator review, quick review. If you were to ask me in a situation where I had 10 to 20 seconds to tell you about this movie, what would I say? So first of all, Cuties is a poignant and or important story. It's very real, sometimes too real. I spent the entire movie afraid for what was going to happen to these girls. There were some points where camera shots linger on things that they maybe didn't have to linger on as long as they did. But the outrage is overblown, in my opinion. The only other complaint I have about the movie is that I wish that there was a little bit more clarity on the message. I got it, but it doesn't really hammer it home like I wish it could have. But overall, I thought it was solid. It's okay. It's all going to come down to your feelings on the way the camera work is done. And again, we'll get more into that after the break. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. I'll come back and we'll get into the movie more specifically. All right, welcome back to the Bibbs Corner podcast. And I already did the intro, so we're just going to get straight into it. So first of all, the controversy. People were saying that this was kiddie porn, that Netflix should be ashamed of themselves, that it's illegal, it should be taken down, etc. and so forth. Like, I was hearing everything about this movie. I had one person actually reach out to me and say, clips of the movie were placed on pornography sites, etc. and so forth. And I can't get into the mind of a pedophile. I'm not going to pretend that I can. I don't want to. It's not something that I'm trying to think about, honestly. But from just watching things like SVU, etc., any image of a child is enough for them to where you don't have to go out of your way to give them things that they're going to be into, if that makes sense. I don't want to go down that line too far, but they're going to twist anything. So I can't control on my end. I can't say that how much you can control what they're going to do and how they're going to react to certain things. With that said, I am a lightweight when it comes to a lot of imagery that's uncomfortable, that's, tough to watch. And if you are one of those people that you don't think you're going to be comfortable with certain things, then you don't watch certain movies. So there's a movie, I haven't seen it yet. I want to say it's The Last House on the Left, something along those lines, where people said there's like a really long rape scene, and I have not watched that movie for that reason. Again, it's a movie, it's imagery. In my opinion, there's tasteful and non-tasteful ways to do things, because again, these things happen in real life, and if you're trying to tell a certain story, you may have to go down that road. But from my understanding, that scene is just way too drawn out, and it makes it it goes too far is what I gather from that. And I watched another movie, which I honestly, and I definitely meant to check before I started recording this, but I watched another movie at South by Southwest that also has a rape in it, but the message of the film is about recovery, and they don't spend a lot of time focusing on the rape. They don't show it a certain way. Like, they basically just show it. They show, I believe the camera never leaves the woman's face during the encounter. And it's actually Stephanie Beatriz from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The movie was called In the Light of the Moon. Basically, a young millennial woman is raped on her way home from work, and it basically follows her trying to deal with that and continue living her life, going through not knowing if they're going to catch the guy who did it, not knowing who did it, like not being uncomfortable with her regular routine, having to deal with telling her boyfriend what happened, and then still trying to find a way to be intimate with him, and him reacting to that, and her friends reacting to that, and her job reacting to what happened once they're made aware. And again, that scene is just one part of it. And again, it's not drawn out. It's not shown in a way that you have to be necessarily too uncomfortable. But it's a tough situation. You're not going to be gleeful during that. But again, it happens. It got the message across. It didn't linger. That's, in my opinion, the way you have to do it with those type of things. In this case, with Cuties, the director is trying to tell a story about, young girls trying to grow up too fast. And in doing so, they try to emulate older girls, teenagers, young adult women, doing the things that they see them do. And there are points where it's uncomfortable and you're like, this is bad. These little girls don't need to be doing all this. But it happens. It's real life. It's reality. Movies with brutal murder scenes are uncomfortable for me. A movie like Good Boys, where you have little boys talking about sex and handling sex dolls and things like that, and toys, and watching porn at some point in the movie. I didn't hear a single person complain about any of that. And I have to wonder how much of it is the double standard that's at play. Culturally, we are much more willing to allow little boys to do certain things than we are little girls. And in doing so, you ignore that little girls go through a lot of the same things little boys go through in growing up and trying to figure out who they are. I remember being 9, 10, 11, 12 and hearing other kids talking about sex and stuff like that. And as a kid, fitting in is everything. So you pretend to know more than you do. You go along with certain things. When Eminem came out, I was like 10, 11. Again, that was when I was 10, 11, 12, that area. And you would listen to the lyrics over and over. I would listen to DMX and Tupac say certain things in songs and become curious about those things and start looking at my body and feeling uncomfortable and judging myself against adults, which is, again, a lot of the same things I've seen these girls do in this movie. Is, for example, in one scene, one of the girls makes fun of the main character not having a butt. So then you see her watching videos of girls dancing, like twerking online with like big butts. And then she even goes to her prayer circle with like all the women and starts noticing the butts of all the women. And, it's what you do when you're in adolescence and your body is changing and maybe not changing fast enough for you. I've been there. I've been through that. And again, I'm not a little girl, but I understand that a little girl will go through those things too. And that's what this movie is showing. That's what the movie is about. Again, for me, I think this movie could have saved itself a lot of some of the attention if the dance move situation, again, on a lot of the dance moves, it does focus on the butts areas of these little girls for longer than I would have liked. I think that maybe if I was in the editor room, I would have said, We can show it maybe the first time, and then after that, focus on waist up shots, or show it very quickly and move on. Like, get your point across, but don't linger. And I think the director being a woman, the director slash writer being a woman, may have affected that, because in her mind, in her eye, it's not as bad as it's going to be interpreted by certain audiences. And I don't know culturally if there's the factor of it being a French movie has anything to do with the interpretation by American audiences, because American audiences are much more sensitive to sexual content. We are a more conservative country as a whole than the country of France. And again, I would love to see a breakdown of the reviews based on the background of the reviewer or the culture. And that includes the people that didn't watch it and just went and sent a bad review because of what they heard. I'd be curious to see a breakdown on that. I'd be curious to like do a poll of some sort on different things. But again, overall, not as bad as people made it out to be. I can understand being uncomfortable with the way it was done, but I don't know if that says more about you or about the film itself. So that's where I land on the whole controversy thing. To get to the actual story in this movie, now that that's out of the way, if you haven't been scared off by what I've described so far, let me get into the actual movie, what it's about, and why it has these images in it. So basically, Amy is our main character. She's described as being 11 in the movie. She's a young Muslim girl whose family apparently is from Senegal. They've moved to France, and there's already early signs that she's rejecting her culture, the Muslim culture. She doesn't like covering up, and she's like distracted when she's in prayer. After she leaves a prayer early in the movie, she sees a girl about her age with her stomach out, like wearing a short dress, like dancing, like she sees a free girl, basically. She's coming from this very structured life, and she sees this girl just living free, and obviously she's drawn to her. She initially admires from afar. She sees a girl at school. She starts to try to emulate the girls behind the scenes. She gets close with them, earns their trusts, and over time, she's in the group, and she takes it too far, basically. She doesn't know where that line is, and she goes over the top. So the girls are a dance group, and she comes into the dance group. She learns all their moves, but then she starts watching videos again of older girls to try to enhance the group's dance moves, and she's actually the one that ends up making them dance more provocatively. Based on girls she's seeing in music videos and stuff like that. Like, that's where she's getting the moves from. And it's basically, by doing this, the director is telling us first about the girls and peer pressure, but then also the images put out in media of women, and how a young girl who's trying to fit in, who's trying to impress people, will look at that and say, hey, people love this is what I should be doing, without understanding the full implications of her actions. And that's, again, what the movie is about. I wish, again, that the movie had been more clear in its messaging, because if you get it, you get it. But it doesn't do enough, in my opinion, of hammering it home. So you see the girls progress, you see it get worse, you see Amy get kind of out of control, you see her get in trouble, you see how she reacts to getting in trouble. And then, she continues to rebel, and then, like, in the last 5 minutes, she just has this sudden moment of clarity and makes a decision about how she wants to proceed going forward. And I do believe the way it ends is satisfying in that sense, to where you see her end up, but the abruptness of how we got there was problematic for me too. I think you can add another 10-15 minutes in there maybe to give us a little bit more progression from one point to the other. It kind of worked for me, but I can see where it could have been a little bit better, in my opinion. Again, I appreciated where she ended up. I think that it was. I mean, I have a little sister, who actually are a little bit older than the girls in this movie. She kind of had a moment where she was around an older family member who was known for dressing provocatively, and she tried to emulate that imagery. And I personally, as the big brother, shut it down quickly. But if I had not been there, if my mom had not been there, then maybe she does go out in a mini skirt or the tight clothes, etc. at that age. And that's kind of where we end up with these little girls. You learn that the girl that she saw in the hallway, you learn that her parents are barely home. And so she's basically raising herself almost. Our girl Amy, her father is marrying another woman. Like, he's getting a second wife. Her mother is the first wife and has 3 kids by this man. And they've gone to France to kind of set up the house for this new wife and her father to come. But he's not there right now. She overhears her mom crying about this, like hurt, self-harming, and realizes that her mom's not happy with this situation. So now she hates her dad. She's internalizing that. Her mom is highly distracted, right? Her mom is not focusing on what she's doing. So she's running the streets with these little girls, rebelling. And again, her mom's not paying attention. These other girls' moms aren't really paying attention to what's happening with these little girls. And again, this is all very real. At the same time, this is that adolescent age. This is the age where girls their bodies start changing. A lot of girls get their period around this time, and they're told that they're women now and stuff like that. So again, this is all very, very, very real. These girls are reacting to outside stimulus. One of the girls is kind of chubby in the movie, and she gets told, to lose weight or to get on a diet, etc. There's one subtle scene in the movie where you hear her vomiting, and then she comes out of the bathroom and meets up with her friends. It doesn't linger on that, but you see it. And again, this is these girls trying to fit in, reacting to the things people tell them. I know, again, when I was doing I was slightly before the internet age when I was at that age, but I still did find little tapes here and there, or would find songs and listen to stuff. Like, you find it. So imagine now in the internet age, these girls have questions. They can hit the internet, type a couple words, and boom, there's the information that they need, or the imagery that they need, that they think they need. And I don't know, it makes it very tough. And again, as a person who lived life, who grew up in a situation where I did have both parents in the home at the time that I was going through adolescence, but I was also a very independent kid as well. I spent a lot of time on my own. I've always been that way. I would spend a lot of time at friends' houses. I was always out with friends. I would be around older kids. This story is very relatable, I think. It's going to be very relatable for a lot of people, and I think it was well told for the most part. And again, it just is maybe a minute or 2 total of the movie you can cut out and avoid the entire controversy. And a minute or 2 of twerking, a minute or 2 of like the provocative dancing, and it's a completely different movie. Could have been one of the best or most poignant movies of the year. There's a scene near the end of the movie, and I tell you the elevator review so that if you were interested and watching, you can listen to the elevator review, go back, watch the movie, and then come back and listen to this deeper description where I'm going to have some spoilers. But there's a scene at the end of the movie where the girls are dancing and they're doing all the little provocative moves, and you can see people in the audience reacting differently. So some are like booing it, thumb downing. Like there's one mom who like covers her daughter's eyes. One of the judges is like too into it. Like one of the male judges is like enjoying the moves a little too much for me. But again, it's very real. Like some people you'll see people post a video of their little child dancing on the internet, and some people will say your child shouldn't be dancing like this, or your child shouldn't be dressed that way, or whatever the case may be. And other people say, oh, it's so cute. It just depends on who you are. So me personally, I'm against dressing little girls certain ways, but I don't have a daughter. I don't get to make those decisions for anyone personally. And at the end of the day, you can only control how people interpret. Like I wouldn't address an adult woman a certain way. But at the same time, if I see an adult woman dressed a certain way, how do you react to that? So you have to think. We have a lot to think about when it comes to the images we put out and who's watching and how they're going to react. If a little girl sees a man she admires looking at a woman dressed a certain way, she's going to think that she should be dressed that way. And that's kind of what this movie is about. Little girls, little kids noticing, learning from the adults around them, learning from the older people around them, and trying to emulate those people. And again, I don't know how long I've been talking about this movie, but it gets the job done. Again, cut out a minute or two of provocative dancing, I would have loved this movie. I would have been easily recommending it be an important watch. But I can understand some people being uncomfortable with the amount of provocative dancing. And at the same time, I'm not canceling Netflix, and I don't think you should either. It's not as bad as some people have made it out to be. And that's really all I have to say overall. I'm probably going to end up giving it a 3.5 rating out of 5, which is the cutoff for Fresh on Netflix. I kind of bounce back and forth between 3.5, 3. Normally I would have gone 3, but I kind of want to go up to 3.5 just because of the controversy, to kind of go against the controversy and the negativity, because it is overblown. It's like like at this point it feels like bullying, the way people are treating this movie. The director I feel sorry for her to a certain degree. I wish you notice I haven't said her name. I don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm very big on saying things correctly. Like I would hate to have a butchered pronunciation. I'm going to try Maïmouna Doucouré. It's MAIMOUNA DOUCOURE. And she wrote it, she directed it. I think she has a bright future. I do hope she can bounce back from this. I am pulling for her. I thought the performance by the lead, the girl that played Amy, was great. Like you could see her mind working as she went through trying to figure out how to be like these other girls and stuff like that. And I appreciated the performance by her mother as well. So those are my favorite two. The other girls were pretty good as well. I have been short on young actors for my awards this year, so all of them currently are going to be on the short list for now. But again, if you want to follow up with me, hit me up on Twitter at Bibbs Corner, at Bibbs Film, at MBibbs. If you have specific questions that you want me to answer about this movie, But again, I think the hatred is overblown. I think it does have imagery that you may not enjoy. That's kind of the point. But at the same time, it's kind of risky for it to be in there for as long as it is. So I can't say that by having that type of imagery, some of the outrage wasn't warranted. Some of it is. I just think some people took it way too far as the negative comments. I have rambled here for at least 3 minutes. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to come back hopefully with a less controversial movie to review. But I did feel, I wasn't going to watch the movie actually. I did feel though, after hearing so many people talk about it, I wanted to be educated before I spoke on it. And so I watched it. I feel like I'm educated on it. And again, I'm willing to answer any questions. So come at me. This has been a Bibbs Corner movie review. Thanks for checking in. Peace.